This is Abhishek Sengupta. Today, we are taking up a topic called investments. Now, in order to explore this subject, we have with us Mr. Kaushik Mitra, the founder of InIdeas FinServe. This is Abhishek Sengupta. Now, today we are taking up a topic called investments. Now, investment is a very common term nowadays, but most of us do not get deep into this subject. Now, in order to explore this subject, we have with us Mr. Kaushik Mitra, the founder of InIdeas FinServe. Mr. Mitra, welcome to our show. New age investment is highly dependent on ups and downs of the market. Many people get nervous when market goes down and the value of their investment turns negative. Could you help us to understand and how should a person react under such circumstances? Over to you.
Okay. See, this again is a concept which is very interesting, and people's reaction is primarily again related to the fact that he's not financially well educated. Like financial literacy is very low in India. See, like not all the new age investments are related to the equity markets. Okay. So even in the equity markets, there are products which are lesser risky, and there are like the arbitrage funds, and there are products which are very risky, like the small cap funds, right? So, like I said, someone investor's investment should be in alignment with his risk profile, number one. But very simplistically to be put, see, when you are investing in equity markets, either directly or through mutual funds, one has to understand that it is again the time factor which should generate returns for him over a period. Okay, it is not that he can generate a return over a year. He can, but in all probabilities, it would not be the case like that. Like I said, equity markets may have its own ups and downs. Like last year, when the news of the COVID pandemic broke down in India and there was a rampant lockdown all throughout, the markets reacted negativity because equity markets don't like uncertainty. So the market, after reaching all-time high in February 2020, crashed by almost 45% in March, right? But then again, what should people do? If you have money, you should buy in more into the equities because you are getting things at a cheaper rate, as I may say. Like if you go to the market with a certain amount of money, and if you are seeing potatoes at 20 rupees a day, kg a day, and someday it is 14 rupees a kg, you would like to buy more of potatoes when it is 14 rupees a kg, right? So investors have to also understand that when you are buying quality businesses, coming back to my earlier point, which equity stocks to choose? I said choose stocks which are basically quality businesses. So when you see the markets correcting, or you see a particular company stock or a mutual fund, blue chip mutual fund has come down considerably from its highs, okay, then you should definitely, if you are having money, you should put in more money. Okay, you should try to buy in businesses or make investments at a cheaper rate so that it averages out. So what happens when you don't have money? It makes me come to the one big company slogan, buy right and sit tight. Okay, if you don't have money, you have nothing to do. Okay, rather than getting panicky or taking out your investments at a loss, it is always advisable that you see it through, right? Like we had the cyclone Amphan. So what was the advisory? Advisory was to stay at home, right? Or was not to roam around the streets and try to fight Amphan. So that cannot be the thing. So when there is a storm, you cannot just roam around. You have to take shelter somewhere and you have to wait for the storm to pass out, right? Or say like when we are taking a flight and if there is a turbulence, so what we do? Okay, we don't open the plane window door and jump off. We don't jump off the plane. We wait for the turbulence to get over. Maybe we pray, right? The turbulence gets over quickly. Same with the investments. And that's why the role of the advisor becomes more important. That the advisor has to first, do a proper risk assessment of the investor, understand whether how much of a turbulence he is comfortable with, and make his investments accordingly. And next, when there is an actual turbulence, irrespective of risky risk profile of the investor, he should be doing handholding of the investors, assuring him that it's just a temporary phase. It would pass off very soon. You have to just see through the phase, and you have to be focused on your long-term goals. Okay, you cannot be short-sighted and expect the long-term goals to be achieved. It cannot happen so. So you have to just wait and see through the market turbulence. If you have money, you invest more. If you don't have money, just wait and see through, and the market turbulence would go out. See, in the starting from inception, if you see the Indian equity markets, they have seen what not. They have seen a Harshad Mehta scam, they have seen a Ketan Parekh scam, they have seen an IT bubble bust, they have seen the global financial crisis, they have seen of late the COVID pandemic. But yet, if you look at the Indian markets today, they are at almost all-time highs, right? So the markets over a period of time, if you see the graph would be going up only. But in the short run, it may have the turbulent situations. But then again, in those times, you have to just wait and let it pass through.
Well, that's a wonderful concept. That's whatever just you have spoken about, that there could be turbulent times, there could be good times, but turbulent times, one should not come out of the investment, rather should sit tight and allow the storm to pass by. And the second example, what you have given, I really like that, is that if the value or if the cost of a commodity is less, with the same amount of money, you are getting more commodity. So with the same SIP, when the market is down, you are getting more assets. So that is beneficial in long run. That's a wonderful concept. I think that's a very good message which you have imparted. What is rupee cost or dollar cost average, and how is it relevant to the new age investment schemes? Over to you.
Yeah, like you said, you buy more when the price is less, and you buy less when the quantity price is more, right? So imagine you being an egg trader. You're going into the market to buy eggs, right? So every day you're going in the market with, say, 100 rupees. Someday the price of per unit of egg is 5 rupees. Someday it is 6 rupees. So when it is 5 rupees, you are getting 20 eggs. When it is 6 rupees per unit of egg, you are getting amount which is unit which is less than 20. Then some days it is 4 rupees per unit of egg. If it is news of a bird flu, the price may come down to 2.5 rupees per unit. So if you keep on buying, you see that your average cost of acquisition of a particular number of unit of eggs is always lower than you would if you would have bought it on one particular day. This is basically the concept of rupee cost averaging. So you accumulate your units at different stages, at different prices, and when you go off to liquidate your investments, you would see that you have made a substantial profit, because prices are generally upwards over a period of time, right? So say if you are accumulating, like in my example, if you are accumulating those eggs over a period of a year, you would see that your average price may have been 4.5 rupees per unit, and when you are going to sell it, it is 7 rupees per unit. So you would have made a substantial profit. So rupee cost averaging is an excellent tool. It is primarily applicable in investments like the systematic investment plan, typically suited for a salaried person, wherein he is getting a fixed amount on a particular day, which is his salary day. And he's probably making his investments on that day or near that date. And every month he's putting in a fixed amount, irrespective of the market level, irrespective of what price he's getting at. And at the end of his SIP period, which may be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, as and when he reaches his investment goal, okay, which may be his child's education, daughter's marriage, whatever it may be, he would see that his average cost of acquisition is probably lower than what price he's getting when he's liquidating his investments. So basically, rupee cost averaging, very simply put, is an averaging out of your investment prices over a period of time.
Wow, that's really good. Probably for everyone, not only for the salaried person, for everyone, this regular buying of the asset in form of different form of investment can always help in long run, because it averages out the cost of purchasing those assets. Right. Now, what are the new age investment options? We know what are the traditional investments are. Now coming to the new age investment, what are the investment plans, the new age investment plans one is having at the present moment? Over to you.
See, like I said, the new age investments are more aggressive in nature probably compared to the traditional form of investment, because see, people have starting to realize the basic economic parlance that for every additional risk amount which you are taking, you should be compensated with return, right? So I would define a non-traditional investment as something which doesn't give a guaranteed return. Okay, so that may be investing directly into equity shares, that may be investing in equities through mutual funds, that may be investing in debt through mutual fund, that may be investing in REIT, which is real estate investment, that may be investing in portfolio management services, or that may be investing in even cryptocurrencies or bitcoins, as you may say. So these are typically the non-traditional new age investments, but then again, this depends on the risk profile of the investor. Not all investments are available to the retail investor. Like if you are investing into PMS, you need to invest a certain minimum quantity as stipulated by SEBI. For a retail investor, the best form of non-traditional investment is still stands as a mutual fund, okay, or maybe a unit-linked insurance product which gives a risk coverage also. And what I would probably say is that he must have a proper health insurance plan, which is also, as per my understanding, an investment plan, because if he doesn't cover a contingency like his health risk, so if he still incurs that health risk, all his savings, all the money to meet that health risk would go from his savings. To safeguard his savings, he should have a proper health coverage, which we call a health insurance. That's also a new form of investment, and that quite an essential one.
Wow, there are so many options available, and person with the help of an advisor can always pick and choose whatever suits best to his or her profile.
Right.
Now, my next question is more, I consider this as the most important question. What is the role of an advisor in investment? Over to you.
It is perhaps I should draw a parallel to the role of your doctor as regarding your health. Okay, an advisor is basically your financial doctor. Okay, so when you are not well in terms of your health, you go and see a doctor who writes a prescription prescribing medicines. So an advisor is your financial doctor. So when you do not have an idea of what is going around with your finances, you go and walk up to your advisor who writes a prescription, again, not in the traditional form, but he gives an advice that where to invest your money to meet your financial goals at your different life stages. So the role of the advisor is more of a hand-holding person who helps and guides an investor to channelize his money. Like it is said that you work hard to earn money, you should make your money work harder for you, right? So an advisor is the right person to help you guide how to make that money work harder for you, as per your risk profile, as per your age, as per your life stage in which you are starting to invest, as per your financial goals. Advisor is the person who will give you a proper retirement planning to the investor, and also an advisor is basically your financial doctor.
Wow, that's a great concept, advisor as a financial doctor. But what I consider is that advisory in the present day world is the most expensive item. Let it be doctor, let it be lawyer, let it be chartered accountant, everyone charges for their advisory. And advisory is the most expensive commodity. And the second concept what I got from you is this, that every kind of investment is not suitable for everyone. For certain group of people, a certain type of investment is suited, and for other people some other type of investment is suitable. So this is something which we need to keep it in mind. That's advisor who analyzes the profile of a person and advises the suitable plan, because now in internet everyone we find as a lot of advisory we find in internet. Okay, this, do that, do this, but we should always know that every kind of investment is not suitable for us. For me, certain kind of investment could be suitable. For you, it could be something else. So likewise, and one more thing which I really appreciate is this: you should always go to a financial advisor to before we start, while we are in the investment process, and also during redemption, because at times we are keen to redeem, might be it's at the situation, but situation in the market might not be suitable for the redemption. So a good advisor can always advise, don't redeem it now, maybe redeem it after a couple of months, etc., etc. So this is what
Abhishek, I'd rather interrupt you at that point and say, like it is said, as I said, the thumb rule is that the best time to invest when you have money. The thumb rule for redemption is that the time to redeem is when you need money. You do not touch your investments unless and until you need the money, right? Okay. And what I have seen over a period of time is that one size doesn't fit all. There may be so many websites advising people in a manner wherein you are chasing returns. You see a particular scheme with a certain amount of return, and you are lured into investment into that particular scheme, wherein that particular scheme may not be suited as per your age, your risk profile. So you have to understand that. Like if I say a small cap scheme as on date in a single year has given 137% annualized return, you would say, wow, that's the scheme for me. Kaushik, make me invest in that scheme. Why didn't you tell me that there is a scheme which can give me 137% return? My 10,000 would have gone to 23,000. But then again, that's perhaps the highest risk profile investment in mutual fund. That's a small cap fund. So it may so happen this year, if you are going to chase return, it may so happen your 10,000 may become 6,800 at the end of the next year if the small cap segment is not doing well. Okay. So if you see absolute returns on a particular website and you try to base your investments on that, it would be probably in 80% of the time, or even I would put 90% of the time, you'd be making a mistake. Because as a layman, if you are seeing a website, your only criteria of choosing a mutual fund or any other particular investment avenues is the return part of it. Okay. Like in FD also, if you see a corporate FD, if your bank is giving you a FD return of 6.5% and you see a corporate FD giving you 8.5%, you would be probably tempted to invest in that corporate FD to get that additional 2% return, right? But to take that additional 2% return, you would probably ignore the credit rating of that company which has issued that bond. And it will so happen that you invest with that company for 3 years, and after 3 years, the company may not be in a position to repay the capital because the financial situation of the company may have turned from bad to worse and all, right? So you should always consult an advisor. Okay, I'll give you another example. Say like if you have a cough, cold, or if you are having a fever, what you can do is that you can walk up to a medicine shop and ask the person there to give you a proper medicine, right? That you can do. Similarly, you can go to a website and you see the returns and you try to invest yourself. But in either of the two cases, you may probably go wrong, right? So if you are not well and you're suspecting it to be a regular fever and you go and buy some OTC medicines, it may turn out to be that someone may have corona and he went on undetected and it deteriorated. Similarly, for investments also, there is no OTC over-the-counter prescription for investment. There shouldn't be. You should always have an advisor with you who would be the right person to assess your risk profile, I'm saying, and make your investments as per suited to your risk profile and your financial goals. And your financial goal, your risk profile may be quite different than my financial goal and my risk profile. So if we both go to a website and just chase returns, so either of us can go wrong, but both of us can be right at the same point of time. So the role of the advisor is very important in hand-holding and helping the investor make the proper investment decision.
I 100% agree with you, because we can either go to a counter and get medicine, but in spite of doing a thorough investigation, it could be a normal seasonal fever, it could be COVID-19 as well. So likewise, when we select the investment from any website based on the historical performance, but we are not aware of what the future performance of that particular fund or that particular investment type could be. So I 100% agree with you. Well, that was a wonderful session with Mr. Kaushik Mitra. And if you would like to connect with Mr. Kaushik Mitra, I'll give the link using which you can connect with him. Well, any closing remark would you like to give, sir?
I believe people should more and more get out of traditional forms of investment, and they should try and invest with an asset allocation view in mind. Like, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So all your investments can't be FD, all your investments can't be PPF, all your investments can't be insurance. And you should do it in consultation with a proper advisor, which will help you in your investment journey and help you attain your financial goals at the right time.
Wow, that's a great message. That's really a great message. Well, that's all for today. We'll be back with many such episodes. Thank you so much, Mr. Mitra, once again for being a part of this show.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Stay tuned, stay connected. Have a great day.